Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing another installment of using up all my art supplies before the end of 2026. It's February. I'm working with some acrylic paints today in several different journals. So I have the colors that I usually have left over are some version of orangish red yellow. So in that warm sunspot section of the rainbow. I tend to gravitate towards like pink, blues, like neon yellows if there's going to be a yellow, and black. So I always have colors left in here, and oddly enough, like whenever I'm pushing myself and I'm trying to use a material, like I'm doing here now, I always end up coming up with something that informs the new evolution of my style or whatever. It ends up being fun. So like I know now that color isn't going to be a barrier for interest for me. In fact, it's going to be a good way for me to come into something with fresh eyes. And my old standbys don't always necessarily work, or not necessarily something that should be my old standbys. Anyway, so that thought is in my mind as I watch this and I look at some of my old work on the walls. I sort of see that color scheme coming in at random points. Alrighty, so what you'll see here is I have some acrylic paints left. I have 5 tubes that I'll use throughout the entire video. I also have like 4 or 5 journals that I'm creating spreads with, and then I have this page, this book of grid paper from Daiso that I'm going to wipe the brush off with or clear any extra paint off of using this book. So I'll do that. I think I'm going to end up with 6 or 7 or 8 pages by the end of this. And so I'll do what will happen is I will do one layer like this, and then I'll add another layer with another full brush, and I'll just keep going until there's no more paint left. And then I'll use some of these pieces of paper to do art collage in the future. Wow, look at that transition. Aren't I good at editing? So here's another journal that already has pages in there, already has ephemeral pages in there. And what I'm doing is kind of, there's a mishmash of colors here. And so in my mind, what's happening here is we're creating a field of similar or complementary colors to like take away from the busyness of yellow pages. And it works. So I will finish some of these journal pages today, but not all of them. But I think we end up with 3 spreads at the end of this using the color scheme. Each page will use this color scheme. And actually, I think it's 5 spreads and 3 journals. We'll use this color scheme, and then there'll be some ephemera pages that we use to create those journal spreads. The technique I like to use and to start with, especially in a journal this big, it's a watercolor journal. It's like 9 by 12. So when you open it, it's like 18 by 24 or something. I made that up. I don't know. But it's like very large. And so I usually go on a color gradient so that like you can kind of have really thick layers and then scoop some of that paint out as it gloops up on the edge. And now watercolor paper is going to hold a lot of paint. It's going to just hold a lot of paint. As well it should. It holds a lot of water, a whole lot of paint. It's going to be fine with holding a lot of pigment. And you're not going to be able to get that with like the multimedia paper, which is what? Up in the corner on the right, there's a journal that I'm wiping off extra paint onto, and that's a multimedia journal. You'll see it coming in and out of there it is. There she is. And so that's just to clean off the brush so I can add more paint to the end of this. Yeah, so it's really about like, let me use all that I can, but also let me get rid of this idea that I need to like skimp on the paint. You do that, like you take a little bit and then like you're not happy with it and then you take a little bit and a little bit. Well, just take a bunch at the beginning. Just take a bunch at the beginning. It's fine. You don't need to skimp on your art supplies. Just use them. You're sitting there doing nobody any good. Just use them. And that's what the whole series is about, is using all the materials that I have on hand. The other item, it's weird that I have this gold left because I always have gold. I always use gold, but somehow I have a bottle of gold paint and I was like, I will take advantage of this situation. Another thing that I do to use up paint that's this gloopy is to dip other journals onto it. So the journals that I'm pressing down now is actually the sister to the one that has all the paint on it right now. It's the same make and model of journal. It just has a cover on it. So you can kind of see as I pulled away, there's a splotchy sort of different texture paint that's come out because I've dipped it onto the other journal. See that? Oh, and then I flipped it the other way. And so the color, I don't really have to do anything but like hold the two journals together and a pattern emerged. Another smaller one, I'll do the same thing. It'll have so that's going to be two sets of colors and the other sets of colors, and then they kind of mix together and it becomes a fun shade. There you go. Yeah, so, I try to do the gradients, I try to do dipping, and then I always try to make sure that there's some kind of ephemera that can be used for other parts of the projects. So let's watch together for a little bit. I will put on some music for you to enjoy and then come back in just a bit to talk more. Alrighty, so now we've moved on to that second layer. So I put down some layers of colors I really like this really bright orange, and over that I'm putting some yellow and gold bloops. I don't know what to call them. The paintbrush I'm using is a paintbrush that you would normally use to paint furniture with. So it has this round, it's a round brush all the way around. It's an interesting one. It's very small, but you would use it to get in between tendrils or in between drawer thingy. I don't know. It's used for the detail work on painting furniture. Yeah, so I'm just using that to make some marks on pages and to give a good contrast between the colors. If I get bored just putting down colors, and I'll do this in between using up the paints, so that the point of going between many journals is that, yeah, I'm using black because I'm oh, this is really boring and too bright, and it's not me. But the point of going between many journals is that you may have the same color scheme and you may be doing the same effect with that brush, but they're going to appear in journals where you do journal flip throughs each page is going to look different, even though there's echoes of that page in other journals. So when you do a journal flip through, which I have a bunch up, I will link them in the description below, you'll see that the pages all look different. All of these look the same, but when you actually do a flip through, they look, every page in the flip through before and after ends up looking different. As you can see, all of those pages are vastly different than the color scheme here. I like the way this one turned out. I'm looking at how ugly it is right now, and where it goes from here is fun for me to watch because this is gross right now. Yeah. So the idea of doing so many journals at the same time is so that you can use your materials, but not all in the same journal and get really bored. So what would happen is that I'm doing a full page right now. I'm making a journal spread here, but I'm taking the extras on the side and I'm putting it in another journal. I'm taking this jar and I'm dotting it on another page somewhere else. I'm making a piece of ephemera so that if I pick up another journal, it might have a page that looks very similar in color to this, might be the same background that I had made for this one, or in a similar color scheme or have the same brush strokes and color schemes and even circles like this. But I can do something different with it. It's in a different journal. I can look at it in a different approach. So you're looking at the same materials, but you're playing with it in a new way. And that to me is fun. So that's how I do it. Am I running out of this? No, I'm not running out of this gold that early. I'm just using the toothpick, the popsicle stick as a brush. Yeah. Using the popsicle stick as a brush is something I usually use in like the black journals because it lets you gloop up the paint and you can see it a little bit better on a black journal because it's difficult to see color unless it's really bright on a black book. Unless you do like a white background and then, who has time for that? Not me. So I've made like, this isn't the full journal spread. This isn't the end of it, but it looks like pretty much like there's a whole, it's lived a whole life. Like it's gotten a good first draft, good 3-4 draft. But here's what I mean. Like I painted a bunch of these gold, right? A bunch of these pages, a bunch of journals have this same background. And I will approach it this way now with some more yellow and orange and red. And then when I come upon a similar page in a journal 7 weeks from now or tomorrow, I'll approach it with a different lens. And then when you actually flip through your journal, you'll have you'll have these echoes of other journals based on different styles and shapes and stuff like that. But you'll also have something uniquely its own in uniquely its own order. I always talk about a bookmaking, art journaling as sort of like, a painting can be held, a painting is put on the wall and you can look at it, or a sculpture can be put on a pedestal and you can kind of look at it. With an art journal, or bookmaking of any kind, you have to kind of look at the book. You have to open the book. You have to do an activity to even look at it. That's why I like to do flip throughs on my channel. I'll link some down below. I like to do flip throughs because that's the finished artwork that you're getting to see. Is it as good as it being live in person? No, but you know what? It gives you an understanding in real time of what it looks like, almost like a piece of performance art. I don't know why I'm putting it on such high a pedestal, but that's the way it feels. What you see me doing here is I realize that I have a lot of orange and a lot of red in a lot of these pages, and if I actually want to do something, then I'm going to have to have a contrasting color that I like, and it was these. I just happened to have some blue that I needed to get rid of that's in the extra acrylic pile, so I'm making some ephemera paper that I can use to create little whatevers. So there, it's dry now. I'm going to create some different things and try to use all of this paper in the remaining journal spreads. My favorite motif, I love a good flower. I love a messy flower. So yeah, this is a technique I use a lot where I will just make my own pages and create my own shapes and kind of put them together like a puzzle. It's like one of the reasons why I have so much junk, like a lot of the scrapbooking stuff over, because I don't use that stuff. I don't use the stickers. I don't use any of that stuff. It piles up. I have such trouble using it. Like I just got done using all my stickers and I didn't do any kind of pages with them. I just took my stickers and I stuck them in journals because I don't know how to, like, it's not interesting for me to put them into the art because I don't know. It's not that I don't want to. It's just I never get around to it because I'm busy making my own paper. Neither here nor there. I think that this is about end of my need to talk for this video. Yes, thank you for coming and joining me and talking with me more about my process as I try to use all of my art materials in 2020 by the end of 2026. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. Bye.